Hey, welcome back. Today I am talking to Alex from Nuggets News. It's the latest news in crypto, in cryptocurrency. It's a very good show. It's with an Australian accent. And Alex, thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
No worries. I'm looking forward to getting into a few different topics with you today.
So we're going to be talking about success, what it actually takes to succeed in the crypto industry and in life and business, how you started, but also some things about Bitcoin and crypto and all that. Now, first of all, let me ask you something real quick. You have two partners, I believe. Their names are?
Ben and James in Nuggets News that do all the content with us. Is that who you're referring to?
Yes.
Awesome.
So you're a team of people.
Yeah, so I started off by myself all those years ago, just talking to friends and family and annoying them about Bitcoin back in 2012 now. And then everything sort of took off in 2017, as you know, when the public started to get involved. And I had one friend from school who started helping me when everything just got too hectic with our emails and all our sort of services blowing up. Mm-hmm. And then we had another guy who was a young guy who designed a few websites who I played cricket with. So a few of you might know cricket as a sport in Australia we play. Anyway, so he quit his job and started working on social media and all the graphics and the content, and it's all just taken off from there.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I do know what cricket is. I was actually born in London and we played cricket as well. So
fantastic. I lived in England for 6 months at one stage, actually.
I'm sorry. So let me ask something. How did you first of all, it's nice that you guys are together, you're three people. I mean, there's an African proverb that says to get somewhere fast, do it on your own. To get far, do it with others. And I just wanted to ask you, how did you guys were friends from like a young age and you got together? How did this all start? How did this all begin?
Okay, so at one stage it was only about a dozen people that I was annoying with Bitcoin, and then it gradually got more and more friends and family, and then when it started going up in price in 2014, 15, more and more people got interested, and then a lot of people missed the boat, and then I said, look, there's this new thing called Ethereum, and that's when they're like, okay, we've missed the boat on Bitcoin, let's get in on Ethereum. And I got a lot of friends and family into Ethereum at about $6. And obviously they were really happy as 2017 rolls around, started making videos just on my phone for the public because people were asking me how to buy Bitcoin. And then within a week or two, that turned into, I'll buy a camera and a mic and I'll start doing this properly. We'll start talking about, Litecoin versus IOTA and all these other projects that people just wanted explained what they are doing. And at that stage, I did a one-on-one with someone. They wanted to get set up and I said, oh, look, if you $50 for an hour, I'll help you get set up and do this all safely. And they said, man, you are too cheap and you need to do this full time. So we started a premium website. It's $50 Australian a month, which is about 35 US, I think. And it just took off. So we have over 1,000 people every day now that get multiple updates. We've got full-time traders in there, investors, guys talking about fundamentals and ICOs. We talk about gold and silver and uranium, other investing themes. It's just become this sort of family, tight-knit community that's all going on this journey together. And that's where my friends said I needed a lot of help because we're starting to get 100,000 emails a day. Starting to get people say, hey, you need to do more graphics, better content, improve your channel, your standard of recording. And so the young guy I played cricket with, he'd already built 2 websites by the time he was 16. So he was a high school dropout and I love what he was doing. I knew he was smart and I said, come work for me. You're a high school dropout, but I know how smart you are. And now he's 19 and he's just making such good stuff for us. I love it.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm a high school dropout. I was actually kicked out and I did pretty well. So
it's funny because I'm a big believer that you don't need to go to university. And I actually went to university to study pharmacy. And I believe there are a few degrees that you need: medicine, pharmacy, engineering. But a lot of people do go waste their degree, get in a lot of debt, and it's very hard to get out of that. And that's kind of been one of the themes that we talk about: good debt versus bad debt.
Yeah. And it also depends on you, because a lot of people got the message that, okay, I'm not going to finish high school so I can be successful. It doesn't work that way. It's a certain type of person too. So there's always a gray area. By the way, for the people watching, what do you think? Do you need high school? Do you need to go to university or do you not? Can you be an entrepreneur from a young age? Comment down below. I'd really like to know. And before we go on, I forgot to mention this interview is for the Crypto Factor Part 2, which Alex will be in with Nuggets News. And he will be giving out on his channel in a later video, maybe next week or something, Alex, right?
Sure, yeah.
He'll be giving out 8 crypto factors part 1 to you guys. It's this book. You can get your hands on it, 450 pages, featuring people like Antonopoulos, John McAfee, Roger Ver, Tom Vase, all the creme of the crop, if you will, of crypto and how they became successful. So yes, I am punning my book in my own video, guys. And don't complain. Everyone's like, oh, he's talking about yes, I'm punning it. So Alex, thank you again. Thank you for that as well, for allowing me to put you in the book. I'm very excited.
No worries. My pleasure. And I just want to circle back on something you said then about how to be successful. And one of the things that started my journey even before I found out Bitcoin in 2012 was studying pharmacy. And we all probably know how corrupt that industry can be, big pharma and so on. And I started to realize that when I was at work in the real world and things that were helping people were often natural, and it wasn't what we were being told at uni. The real world was very different to the what we're being told in the textbooks. And that was sort of the same for my journey into starting watching all the documentaries about the GFC and how money and debt works. And once again, how that works in the real world with business cycles is very different to what we're told in the textbooks. And that's when I went down the gold and silver sort of rabbit hole, and then read an article about Bitcoin on Zero Hedge in 2012 and just was obsessed with it from then on in.
Nice. So here's a question that popped to me right now. If you would give advice to somebody on how to be successful, what would you want them to learn? What should schools be teaching right now? Hey, Paul here. Let me jump in real quick. If you're getting value so far from watching this video, then please consider subscribing down below and hitting that bell notification button. It will help me and you get to watch more videos like this one. Thank you, and let's jump back into the video.
I think you have to be comfortable to tread your own path. Now, if everyone is talking about ICOs or Bitcoin, that's the wrong time to probably be doing it. And we see these cycles in everything. There was a lithium stock craze at one stage in Australia, and then it's it's the next thing. There's all these cycles, and you've got to realize when you're treading your own path, or you're just doing what the herd is doing. Yeah. And if you know an industry well, or you've got a good idea, and you've got to be comfortable to follow that and tread your own path, and you're going to be wrong, or it's going to feel like you're wrong, particularly when you're disrupting other industries or businesses. But as long as you're treading your own path, that's where you can create true success, because it only leads to more people joining or walking that path with you. Right. But what do you think people should learn in school? For example, do their taxes, learn graphic designing, learn internet. What else could they learn? If what should they be teaching in our educational, your educational system right now? I think mathematics is one that even I studied, but you don't realize it at the time, how simple concepts like compound interest and all that sort of thing in the real world can make such a huge difference. And if you get your head around some of these concepts in your early 20s versus these people that start taking interest in their shares and their retirement fund when they're 40 or 50, it can make such a huge difference. So understanding the implications of maths in the real world, I think, is a really important one. But I just don't think we're being taught enough about how things happen in the real world, how businesses run in the real world. We just get taught that, hey, if you study hard and you can regurgitate these answers and you get an A on all these tests, then you go to uni and you do the same thing. And then I meet doctors out there when I'm working in the pharmacy in the hospital, and I meet these doctors that just have no common sense, and then you speak to your own grandma and she says, I didn't understand what that doctor said, or he didn't explain this well. And it's all, having good people skills can be more valuable than any degree or getting any A on your test. So people that are street smart can often be the next Steve Jobs of the world, so to speak. Right. What does success mean to you, Alex? This is a funny one, and I don't talk about you know, people talk about how much money they made from getting in Bitcoin early. And that's one thing that's never really fussed me at all, because I live down in Tasmania, and it's obviously a lot cheaper to live there than Melbourne or Sydney, where we've got a bit of a housing bubble at the moment. So for me, if you've never had, I've been very lucky. I've never had any debt. I've never had a credit card. And if you can live that life where you're out of debt and you've got I'm happily married, we've got our first son on the way. That to me is the true meaning of success and happiness, not having any debts to worry about, having, your mortgage paid off and living a happy lifestyle, happy, healthy.
Yeah, we almost had like your son on this video because you're expecting to anytime soon, right?
Yeah, if there's a knock on the door there, you'll know that I'm off to the hospital.
Got you. So what drove you to get where you are? What was the driving factor for you to persist and do what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of your viewers might be familiar with Gary Vee, and he talks about the dirt and the clouds and having to do that hard work initially. And I was in a pretty unhappy place. I'd been working at the same pharmacy for 5 years, and I just wasn't getting anywhere. And in Australia, pharmacists get paid a pretty low wage compared to the US, for example, really repetitive. And I was just in a real rut, and I was about to quit and move on and at least try something different. And that's just at the time when Ethereum and Bitcoin started to really do their thing and move. And for me, it was sort of a wake-up call to say, hey, follow your passion and try and do something different. What's the worst that can happen? It could fail. So I think I wanted to change. I was unhappy, and you've got to take that leap and give it a try. So yeah, I hate the stories where it's all just roses and people talk about how good they are, how much money they've made. I like the stories of when people weren't happy, or they had the odds against them and they found success.
Do you think anybody can succeed in the cryptosphere or the crypto industry?
In the crypto industry, I think we're so early on that if you make yourself useful to a company, and it might be something as simple as we just spoke about, is you having good people skills and knowing how to market a project. And the problem that a lot of these projects are facing is getting users. And we have all these sort of tech guys on the back end that have built these wonderful things. I think the Augur prediction markets are probably a great example of this. They have the technology where we can make a betting market for anything in the world now, but nobody's using it because the front end is terrible and people don't know about it yet. So I think there's so much opportunity. Make yourself useful to a team, fill the gaps that they need filling.
What do you think it actually takes to succeed? Like if you had like, I don't know, 3 rules of what it takes to succeed, what would they be?
I think discipline. So a lot of people get a good idea and they say they want to do it, and then they've never wrote down a business plan. They don't really have any strategy of how they're going to get there. So if you actually do have a good idea, it's something you want to follow through on, set yourselves little goals and stay disciplined and do it. And you're going to have to sacrifice might be the second word. I used to love partying and drinking when I was at my uni days and whatever. And, I don't really do that much now. Sunday is our busiest day, whereas it used to be a day that most people sit on the couch. Maybe they're a bit hungover or whatever. So being disciplined and sacrificing other things in your life, you're not going to get there. And again, break away from the herd, tread your own path. If you're doing the same thing as everyone else, working 9 to 5, going out on weekends, you've really got to put in 100 hours in the early days. Not drink, give up your weekends for a little bit, save some money, don't spend on things you otherwise would have. Third one, I think you've got to enjoy it. You've got to have fun. And that, for me, as I just said, I work 100 hours every week and it doesn't feel like a chore at all. I love doing what I'm doing. Every day you get to read the news, break it down, make a video for people, explain to them how to use this new app or this new website. It's so much fun. I love what I'm doing now. Yeah.
Do you make predictions?
I've only ever made a couple of predictions. So the couple that I have made was, I think Bitcoin could reach $3,000 one day. That was when it was about $30. And then the second one was, I think Ethereum could hit $100 one day. Now, those predictions were blown out of the water and even surprised myself. But those predictions were based on when that happens, everyone will be using these technologies. And we're not there yet. So I actually think we've got a long way to go. We made a 3-part series about Bitcoin possibly reaching $1 million in the next 10 or 20 years, because I think the more this becomes a store of value and gets used as a medium of exchange in different countries, it just has so much utility. And governments are printing money around the world. I won't go into the million reasons why I think Bitcoin can be the ultimate store of value and the hardest currency. The next prediction I have made was, I think we can still reach $1 trillion market cap in the next sort of 12 months. And that doesn't mean that Bitcoin and all these altcoins are just going to go berserk.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start to see securities, digitalized gold mines, power farms, whatever it is. All these things are going to start to spring up. And if they get listed with all the other digital assets on CoinMarketCap, the total market cap of this crypto space is going to go well and well into the trillions.
Right. So I'm going to make a prediction. How many subscribers do you have on your YouTube channel right now?
About 38,000, I think.
100,000 by the end of the year. Hit those like buttons. Go to his channel. I'm going to leave his channel down in the links below. The website, Nuggets News, awesome site. I listen to it in the car usually while I'm driving. You deserve way more than 100,000, but I'm conservative. Let's give you 100,000.
If that happens, I'll fly over. I'll fly over and take you out for dinner. If we get 100,000 by the end of the year, there you go. You got a deal.
Okay. Well, also you have a very beautiful website. I saw your website. Very good copy. I was actually a little bit envious, to be honest with you, because it's also my branding colors, but I like yours better than mine. I'm like, oh.
You can copy it if you want. You can copy it, mate.
I'm set where I am now, but it was a very good website. Anyway, and I love your graphics and everything. So congratulations to the person that does that. Tell me something. They say you need to fail in order to succeed. Have you failed, and how do you handle failure?
Failed so many times. So I lost a lot of Bitcoins back in those early days when we had the Mt Gox hacks, and there was a lot of Australian exchanges went under. So, you could have either got down the dumps and depressed, or you buy some more Bitcoins, and then you've learnt your lesson. I believe in karma. I would have never found Ethereum if all these other bad things had have happened to me. Now, back then I was really obsessed with trading, and I love shares trading and options trading, but I saw a once in a lifetime opportunity to margin trade Ethereum when after the DAO hard fork, that incident happened, or just before that, it dropped from $20 to $6. And I thought, there's no way it's going to go below 10. I'm loading up a big margin trade. And I think I must have lost, 1,000 ETH or something on that margin trade, which wasn't a lot at the time, maybe $6,000 or something. But then looking back on it now, you think, geez, if I wasn't so greedy and just trying to get rich quick, and now I've learned a lot of lessons. And then I think last year we had a run where we had 450 trades with one loser. And it was because I'd learned those lessons and made those mistakes in the years prior, whereas last year everyone was learning for the first time about how to use Bitfinex and BitMEX and all these sort of things. You've got to make mistakes and learn from them. That's the important thing. Yeah.
So you're also a trader. Are you hands down technical analysis, or do you also use fundamentals, macro, and so forth?
So fundamentals are probably the main thing that I look at. And at the moment, that's really frustrating because they mean absolutely nothing. There's good projects that are down 95% sitting right next to the bad projects or scams that are down 95%. So I do believe fundamental analysis is going to play a big part when the space matures, just as fundamentals in the stock market are very important. Technical analysis, I like to use a mixture of everything. So, your moving averages, your fib levels, breakouts, all that sort of thing. And I think when people get too obsessed with one thing and they say, oh, I'm a Elliott wave trader, and then they don't even acknowledge other things. And you say to them, well, what do you think about the volume on this day or this candle? They go, nah, nothing else matters. It's just this one style. And I love to work with the traders that are open-minded and say, hey, let's all try and use our styles together. Last year when we had different methods all lining up, as well as fundamentals, as well as sentiment, when China was banning crypto and everyone thought it was going to zero. That. Oh man, I think we did a live video at the time saying, guys,
I made a video at the time.
Yeah, like sentiment is it just moves this space on a dime because we're so small. But look at the markets getting pushed around on news announcements and so on. So a big believer that you need to use a mix of everything and remain open-minded.
Would you say, but even technical analysis, quite honestly, is not working that well right now? I mean, really, technical analysis is just not, I stopped. I'm like, okay, I'm sitting on my hands because I was losing.
I agree. So as I said, about a year or so ago, we had a tremendous run and there was lots of action happening. There was clear direction on the charts. And now we've kind of been in this range, and then you get a big move. And then, so I definitely haven't had as much time to be able to trade, but I just think that it's not the best thing to be putting time into at the moment. I'd rather be working on my business or doing other things. And then when we have the next rally and clear direction in the market, maybe look for some more trades.
Plus, we have to learn the new Bart Simpson indicators because no one really has mastered them yet. Do you think mentors are important, and do you have any mentors?
Definitely. Yeah, I think for me, I used to play a lot of sport, and being one of the younger people in the team, I definitely took a lot from the mentors. Um, one of my friends, I'm not sure how familiar the US audience is with cricket, but one of my friends went from not being able to make his regional team to captaining Australia the following year. And that was just a remarkable story. And watching the mental side of being down and out and not being good enough to be picked for your region to going to be the captain of Australia. He was always one of my mentors and friends. So I like watching, again, those people that have gone through a bit of conflict. Other mentors, Andreas Antonopoulos back in the day. I mean, you go to YouTube and you were searching Bitcoin and there was just nothing out there. You had to go to Reddit or go to the forums. Believe it or not, Roger Ver was actually one of the people that I used to like and listen to a lot. He was pushing that message of freedom and liberty. I'm not really sure I agree with his message. Yeah, I'm not against Bitcoin Cash. I'm a free market guy, so whatever's going to be the best use case for cryptocurrency is going to win. But I don't like a lot of I think I'd call it deceit that's happening now and saying, this is the real Bitcoin. Then you go to bitcoin.com as a new person and they tell you to download the Bitcoin Cash wallet. I'm thinking, guys, this is just confusing. Nobody's winning out of this. It makes everyone look bad.
It's funny. I was mad at Roger and even Craig. And I started thinking to myself, wait a minute. I'm like, okay, I know I'm mad because I didn't like what happened. And then I started thinking, I own Bitcoin. Maybe I'm biased. And I still own more Bitcoin, just for everyone listening. And then I thought to myself, there's three sides to a coin. We need to stand on the heads, the tails, and the edge. And we need to stand on the edge and look at all three sides. So I don't have an opinion yet, but I'll tell you, they're very smart and successful people. I've interviewed both of them. I think learned a lot from them. It's the mindset, especially.
I think Craig is almost doing a lot of this for show. I actually think he is a pretty intelligent guy, and he probably did work very much on Bitcoin in the early days. I don't think he is the Satoshi, but it's funny to watch the way that he's carrying himself now. And there has been brilliant people throughout history that have carried on, but they were smart and they were right.
Right. So, do you have any daily habits and morning rituals?
Oh, geez. I went through a stage, and if you're starting a business, if you can get up early, the people you hear getting up at 5 or 6 a.m. when you've got hundreds of emails, if you can get up early and stay disciplined, then I think that is something that you should do. Now I'm a bit busier and I get up a little bit later, maybe 7 o'clock. But I think having healthy body, healthy mind, whenever you go for, every day I go for at least an hour walk, if not a run, or go to cricket training or something, having that exercise and the time away from the screen is just as important as working hard. Good night's sleep. I think music, you've got to be able to relax. Meditation was something that changed my world. 15 minutes a day. Even if you're not sitting there looking like a monk, even if you just quieten your mind for 15 minutes a day, it gets rid of all your stress hormones. Definitely something we learn in pharmacy. Healthy diet, I love cooking. I get the podcast in, cook some nice food, all that sort of thing. Having a nice balanced lifestyle would be my advice. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask you about your hobbies and if you read books, but I'll change my question to what are the books that are on your shelves behind you?
Oh, okay. So we've got the bottom one there, the big white one is a big natural medicine guide. So I'm a huge believer in things like, turmeric, ginger, garlic when you're sick, chili, all those natural remedies. That's that big book. The next one is just a over-the-counter pharmacy guide. Then we've got The Colder War by Marin Katusa, which is all about how energy controls the world. And that is very interesting about Russia and how they're going to be really dominant in the future because of their uranium processing power as well as their oil and gas reserves. We see at the moment what's going on in Venezuela. They've got the world's largest oil reserves. So
yeah, they have the world's largest, but not the cleanest.
No. But I think energy controls. Yeah. And somewhere like Australia has a big opportunity to turn towards solar, but we're not doing that yet. So how the energy war plays out is really interesting to me. Then the next one is The Demographic Cliff by Harry Dent. And that just talks about how sort of lived through the best period of history. We've got growing populations, abundant resources, and for the first time ever, we've kind of got an aging population, and the average age is going down in the US for the first time. Are we going to be able to produce enough food for everyone? We're running out of resources. So I think that we've lived through the best time throughout history, and technology can always change, but I think it's going to be very different, particularly in Australia. Something like the housing bubble, I'm not sure if you want to talk about, but that's a good example of how that's played out. Then we've got Nate Silver, the signal and the noise in cryptocurrency. That applies so much, I think. You've got to be able to determine what is important and relevant and what is just all noise and just to ignore. And then up the top, we've got the greatest trade ever, which I'm currently working my way through.
I'm actually surprised I have none of those books. I read a lot, but those are really cool. If you had to suggest two books for people to read right now, what would they be?
I think this is books, Mastering Ethereum, Mastering Bitcoin. He's just such a genius. I honestly think that he's so important to the space. When you see everyone else carrying on, even I love Vitalik, but there's still this sort of shit slinging between the different projects and stuff. And Andreas is probably the one guy that has stayed pretty mature and reasonably unbiased the whole time. Now there's Bitcoin Maximus out there that'll tell you that he doesn't know what he's talking about now that he's written a book about Ethereum. But I really think he's the one character that you need to listen to. Yeah. But I'd recommend The Colder War, about how energy controls the world, if you had to pick one book. Yeah.
I might get that. That sounds good. Let me just write that down.
Yeah.
So what is the one characteristic that your family knows, your loved ones know you by?
A bad characteristic or a good one?
No. Sorry, I was writing at the same time. People that love you, the one characteristic that people that your loved ones know you by. Like, what would they say about you?
I think I'm incredible. Like I love trying to be funny and humorous and immature away from work. So I think you've got to unwind and, just have fun and relax when you're away from your work. And then when it's time to perform, it's the same with sport. We had some guys and we were playing pretty high level sport that were just absolute characters, and they were mucking around 5 minutes before a game. And as soon as it's time to play and the ref blows the whistle or whatever, laser focus, and they're switched on. So I think in life, you've got to know when to be switched on and when to be able to relax between those important periods.
Okay. So Alex, what were you like before all this? If I met you in high school, what would you be like? What would I say about you?
I was really obsessed with sport, and I definitely was mature. So I think I have changed a lot. Hopefully people say that, but I think I was just a product of the system. As I was saying before, you go through school, you get taught that sport, you got to be good at sport. You got to be captain of the athletics team. You've got to get good grades and life will work out. And then it wasn't until I started going off that path and watching conspiracy videos on YouTube and reading about how the world really works that I started to tread my own path, as you say, and particularly in the world of pharmacy. I think there's a lot of use for medicinal plants and recreational drugs. I think we're already seeing studies about MDMA and LSD, marijuana starting to get to the forefront now. And we were just taught that, all those things were bad. And I really think that you've got to go down the rabbit hole. And I was certainly a person that was going on that path that everyone is told to go on in high school. And then I'm way happier now that I'm not on that path.
Nice. Okay, so how did you actually get involved in crypto? Like, I don't know, you explained to me a little bit in the beginning, but when did you first hear about it? How did you first buy your first Bitcoin?
Yeah, so it was that article on Zero Hedge in 2012, and I thought, what's this Bitcoin thing? Went to YouTube. There was a couple of videos about it, and because I had that gold and silver knowledge of sort of how money works, and I thought, wow, what is this thing? Started looking into it more and more. Downloaded the first wallet out there, which was the Bitcoin client at the time. And in Australia, you probably know we've got terrible internet. So I had this loading bar down the bottom, and it was just like stuck there for weeks. And I didn't really know what it was doing at the time. I didn't understand that it was downloading the entire blockchain. We had terrible internet, and it was probably never going to get there.
Oh no.
So that was my experience. And then there was nowhere to buy Bitcoin in Australia that I could find in 2012. So I'm sort of looking around, how do I buy some of this? And then it went up and down and ended up buying some once we had a little website that came online in Australia. And then that happened to get hacked. And so I lost those Bitcoins and then
The
bought
Mt
some
Gox one.
more. No, this was another one called I Got at the time. And a
Wow.
lot of people that, unfortunately, I'm in a group, the little group on Facebook of people, we console each other because there's a lot of people that didn't buy anymore.
Yeah.
So they're in this group and they were buying Bitcoins at $30. And then here we are now, but they didn't get any more. So that was kind of my journey. Yeah.
So when you're in Mt. Gox though, isn't there like a thing so you can get those back?
Yeah, so I didn't lose any in Mt. Gox. It was just around the same time.
Got you.
As I said, there was only the one in Australia. Yeah.
Okay. So what does the typical day look like for you? Like you get up, you go for your walk, or?
So the typical day for me, get up early, read all the crypto news, have a look at the chart, and if it's going up or down $1,000, you know that there's news that you need to read about. Skim over the news. I think Twitter is a must for anyone that's in this space, just to see if any of the important players have been talking about anything in particular. Then my main day is consuming a lot of content. So I have people that I trust on YouTube. I'll go check all the Reddits and see if there's any big stories out. And I spend a lot of day consuming podcasts from important people and staying up to date with all the knowledge. And then I'll make a video about whatever I think is most important in that afternoon, or interview someone from a project that I like. Then we put a lot of hours into our premium content. So we try and deliver at least a few updates every day, at least a few videos every week for our premium members to keep them ahead of the curve with trades I'm looking at, coins I'm looking at, things that are happening in the space, and then try and relax a little bit of an evening, spend some time with family.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. So where do you think this market is going? Where do you think we're heading, Alex?
So I think we've either bottomed, or we're going to have that one last little shakeout that you get at the end of the bear market if we go sideways for that period of time. I think you look at the chart of Bitcoin and particularly altcoins, and they really have followed that Wall Street cheat sheet pattern almost perfectly. It's just a matter of where are we in the last sort of scale of that. And people were extremely bearish a few weeks ago, and it makes me wonder if we are in that sort of phase now where we've had a bit of a rally and we're entering the disbelief, because when you look at the fundamentals, when Bitcoin hit 20,000 and it was costing you $50 to send a transaction, the fundamentals weren't great. People were speculating wildly. And I only made a video yesterday about the volumes of Bitcoin in developing countries have picked up significantly in recent months. So people actually using Bitcoin for its intended purpose in Venezuela, South America, in Africa, that sort of stuff is going to pick up and is going to drive Bitcoin's price far more than any ETF that people are sort of waiting for. So I'm so excited. I'm not sure if it goes down to $1,000, then I'm going to really buy a lot more Bitcoin and my favorite altcoins, because they'd be ridiculous prices at that stage. And I think a lot of money is going to flow into the top 10 or 20 projects. People get obsessed with trying to find the next ICO or low cap project that's going to do 100x. But you have to realize, but now we've had this correction, there's big money entering these funds. They can't put $10 million into a coin whose whole market cap is 10 million. They're going to go into these bigger cap projects that are doing good things. So I think you don't have to try and pick that next 100 or 1000x coin. You're in it early enough now that these things have got a lot of potential upside in the next few years if you pick the projects that have fundamental use cases for their token.
Okay, and where do you think our focus should be now?
In terms of, I think the STO, everyone's talking about STOs. I think they're going to be underwhelming. I think it's going to be just too mature and behind the scenes and a lot of paperwork. It's not going to lead to a speculation like the ICO craze is. So where should your focus be? Making sure you are 100% happy with your portfolio. I do one-on-ones with people and they've got 30 altcoins. They don't know what any of them are. They're down 95% and they're holding, hoping they get back to break even. Now is the time to reshuffle and get into good projects, because when the next bull market happens, I think it's only going to be the good projects that go up. It's not going to be like last time where you could throw a dart at coin market cap and it was going to go up 10x.
Yeah. So hodl or trade?
Whatever you are comfortable at. And one thing that I'd want everyone to pay attention to is if you're logging onto BitMEX and putting on a 100x trade, How are you better than the other 99 people out there? You have to realize when you have no edge, when you've got less experience, when you are not better. Because unless you plan on knowing more than 100 other people, statistics say you're not going to continually win when you're putting on 100x trades. So if trading's not for you, if it's too emotional, if you've lost too much money, get a practice account. Once you can consistently make money for a few months, think about trading again. If you're an investor and you're picking good projects, you're going to make good money when you're early on. You don't have to feel that you've got to look at the charts all day and trade. So do whatever you're comfortable with, whatever fits your lifestyle.
Got you. And where is Nuggets News going next? Where are your plans?
Should I give you a little exclusive? So we're really keen on launching a sort of STO platform. At the moment, there's no way to launch compliant STOs in Australia. So we want to help people do that. We helped a lot of sort of ICOs do their thing. And there's some great utility token projects in Australia. You probably know Power Ledger, Horizon State, AgriChain is one that we're involved in, trying to help the agricultural industry. So that's one thing that Nuggets News is really passionate about, helping Australian projects and getting mainstream adoption in Australia. Now, we've already got Travel by Bit and Living Room of Satoshi. I'm not sure if you've heard of both of those, but you can pay any bill in Australia with 14 different cryptocurrencies, and you've been able to do that for 3 years already. I didn't know that. You can come and book your holiday to Australia and go to the Great Barrier Reef and pay with Bitcoin. It's all there. So we are ahead of the rest of the world, but it's just getting that awareness out there. Brisbane International Airport, so you can spend Bitcoin at every shop there, and there's another airport about to sign on. So things are really happening in Australia.
I gotta move there.
Yeah.
That is really good. I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. Yeah. By the way, Power Ledger, I'm guilty of selling because I lost so much money on it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna sell it all and just put it into Tron. It was a hype time, so
I won't say anything.
I know it's. So, do you think crypto will succeed, and why?
I think there's a big, people go through this shift. They find out about Bitcoin, and then they go, oh, cryptocurrency, and then they go, oh, blockchain. And then I think when you're really down the rabbit hole, you realize that it's Bitcoin that is the true innovation. And then I'm very picky. So Bitcoin and Ethereum are my main portfolio holdings. And then these other coins, you have to realize how speculative and how risky they are. So I own about 20 or 30 projects, but very small percentage, because if you're right, they're going to go up 10 or 100x and become a big part of your portfolio. So I don't think it's so much this cryptocurrency or this term blockchain. It's just the individual projects that are disrupting the gaming industry, the agricultural industry, the voting, doing different business use cases and disrupting the current marketplace, getting market share. That's the ones that I'm sort of trying to pick in my portfolio.
Give me three, probably the ones I sold. Give me three.
So I do think that renewable energy is a theme that's playing out, and Power Ledger have got projects in Thailand, Japan, Australia now. So that is one that I'm really hopeful for and sort of passionate about. I really like funfair. So I think online gambling is just such a huge industry, and being able to do provably fair transactions, and they've got a really experienced team. So I really like funfair. And Maker DAO is one that we've been in since $30. We made a video about it. And building the world's first decentralized central bank, it's almost a different use case argument than Bitcoin. But I think what they're doing is truly amazing. And soon they're going to move to multi-collaterally backed their DAI stablecoin. So that's going to be a coin that's backed by not only Ethereum, but gold as well. It's going to basically be the world's most stable currency. And I think that is going to be very powerful. Yeah.
What's it called, the last one?
Maker. So MakerDAO. So it's Maker DAO.
Maker DAO.
And the coin is MKR, and their stable coin is called DAI, DAI.
Okay, I didn't hear of that one. You said you had a video on that one. I'm going to go check it out.
Sounds good.
Okay. One more question. Should I buy back Power Ledger? No, I'm just kidding. One more question. What's the one question you wish people asked you, but they don't?
I'd love for more people to realize how easy it is to lose money and make mistakes. So everyone rushes in and says, oh, Nugget, what should I buy? Should I buy now? And the number one piece of advice would be is take your time. We told everyone that was messaging us in December in the bull market to buy a little bit if you want to get involved and put your foot in the water, but seriously, at least consider buying some or in stages, buy a little bit each week. So many people rush in. They think that if they don't buy it today or tomorrow, it's going to go to $100,000, and here they are down 90% because they weren't patient, didn't take their time.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. One last question. Where can our viewers find you? Where can they see you? I'm going to put the links down below.
So head to nuggetsnews.com.au for information on everything we do. Otherwise, just follow us on all the usual socials at Nuggets News.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
You're a legend, Paul. Thanks for having me on. Good luck with everything.
Good luck too. Thank you, guys. So there you have it. That was Alex from Nuggets News. Check him out down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to succeed in life and business. And I will see you next time. And until next time, keep succeeding.